The night started like any other in a small, dimly lit roadside bar. The soft hum of country music played in the background, mixing with the clinking of glasses and the low murmur of conversation. Shadows danced across the worn wooden walls as the flickering neon sign outside cast a faint blue glow through the windows. At the center of it all was a group of bikers, rough, rugged men in leather jackets, laughing loudly and exchanging stories of their latest escapades. They exuded dominance, their presence enough to make other patrons keep their distance. They weren't just a group, they were a gang, and this bar was their turf. But everything changed when the creaking of the old wooden door cut through the air. All eyes turned toward the entrance as a lone man stepped in. He wasn't imposing in stature, nor was he dressed to intimidate, just a plain black t-shirt, jeans, and boots. Yet, there was an aura about him. His movements were deliberate, calm, and unhurried, as if he had all the time in the world. He walked straight to the bar and nodded to the bartender. "Whiskey." "Neat," he said in a low, steady voice. The bartender hesitated for a moment, glancing nervously at the bikers before complying. As the man waited, he seemed completely unfazed by the curious and hostile stares directed his way. The bikers, however, weren't the type to let a stranger come into their space without making their presence known. The leader of the group, a tall, broad man with a graying beard and a patch on his jacket that read "Bones," leaned back in his chair and smirked. "Well, well," he said loudly, drawing the attention of his crew. "Looks like we've got ourselves a visitor." The others chuckled, their laughter echoing through the bar. Bones stood up, his heavy boots thudding against the wooden floor as he sauntered over to the bar. The room grew quiet as the tension thickened. "Hey there, buddy," Bones said, his voice dripping with mock friendliness. "You sure you're in the right place? This ain't exactly the kind of bar for strangers." The man didn't flinch. He picked up his glass, took a slow sip of his whiskey, and set it down before turning to face Bones. His voice was calm but firm. "I'm exactly where I need to be." Bones raised an eyebrow, clearly not expecting that response. "That so?" he said, leaning in closer. By now, the rest of the bikers had gathered around, forming a semicircle around the man. Their smirks and chuckles made it clear they thought this would be an easy intimidation. One of the younger bikers, a wiry guy with a toothpick in his mouth, stepped forward. "You got guts, I'll give you that," he sneered. "But guts won't help you much around here." The man turned his gaze to the younger biker, his expression unchanging. "You don't want to do this," he said quietly. Bones laughed, a harsh, grating sound. "And what if we do? What are you gonna do, tough guy? Take on all of us?" The man tilted his head slightly, studying Bones and his crew for a moment before replying. "If you touch me, you're not going to like how this ends." That was the last straw for Bones. With a sneer, he reached out to grab the man's collar. But what happened next left everyone in the bar frozen in shock. The man's hand shot up in a blur, grabbing Bones' wrist and twisting it in one smooth motion. Bones let out a grunt of pain as he was forced to his knees, his tough guy facade crumbling in an instant. The rest of the bikers moved in quickly, but they were no match. The man moved like a professional, every punch, every block, every takedown was precise and devastating. A punch to the ribs sent one biker crashing into a table. A well-placed kick flipped another onto his back. Each attacker was neutralized with stunning efficiency. Chairs toppled, glasses shattered, and gasps filled the air. Patrons who had been too scared to move now watched in awe as the lone man systematically dismantled the gang. The fight lasted less than a minute, but by the end of it, the bikers were sprawled across the floor, groaning in pain. The man adjusted his shirt, picked up his glass, and calmly finished the last sip of his whiskey. The bartender, who had been frozen in place the entire time, finally managed to speak. Who are you?" he stammered. The man placed a few bills on the counter and gave a faint smile. Just a guy who doesn't like bullies. As he turned to leave, one of the bikers muttered, "Who the hell is he?" Another patron, who had been watching from the corner, answered quietly. "He's not just a guy. He's ex-military. Navy SEAL. I've seen men like him before, they don't lose." Outside, the roar of a motorcycle echoed through the night as the man disappeared into the darkness. Inside, the bikers slowly picked themselves up, humiliated and beaten. They had learned the hard way that sometimes, the quietest man in the room is the one you should fear the most. This was more than just a fight, it was a lesson. True strength isn't about size, numbers, or bravado. It's about skill, discipline, and knowing when to act. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs a reminder that appearances can be deceiving. See you next time.